Okay, everyone, welcome to this session today. We have an exciting one called That Was Fun Online Edition with Lisa Forbes and David Thomas. I'll kick it off to you guys.
Super. Thanks a lot for coming with us on this little interactive journey. My name is David Thomas. I am the Executive Director of Online Programs at the University of Denver, but I'm also a professor at the University of Colorado, and together with Lisa, we run Professors at Play. But before we talk about that, Lisa.
What?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. I guess that's important. Hello, I'm Lisa Forbes. I am an assistant clinical professor at the University of Colorado, Denver. I teach in the mental health counseling program. So we're happy to be here today to have fun with you.
But first, of course, you probably want to know what you're getting into. That's a good question. Well, the first thing is this is supposed to be fun, and fun means not Lisa and I having fun. It means you having fun with us, which means we're going to ask you to be interactive in this session. And you know, we're not going to force you onto the playground. You're welcome to stand at the edge and watch the rest of the kids play, but we would really invite you to participate. And part of that is you can do it now or you can do it later, but we're going to ask you to probably turn your cameras on. As two instructors that have taught online plenty, we dread the wall of black names. It's just, you know, it's unnerving. By the way, I did talk radio for a bunch of years, and talk radio makes you crazy because you talk into the void. And then you start to think that everything you say is important. You need to see people. So we're going to ask you to participate. We're not going to compel you to participate. But what else? What else do they need to know about what they're getting into?
I think typically what you would expect is us to be talking at you and teaching you things, which hopefully you'll learn something. But a lot of what we're going to do today and try a little bit different is to show you play, to have you experience play, to try to convince you. So we'll do a little bit of talking about our philosophy of play in higher education and the work that we do, but it will be a lot of interactive play.
So let us tell you just a bit about Professors at Play and where some of this work and some of these techniques have come from. Professors at Play is an organization that Lisa and I cooked up several years ago to entertain us and a handful of other people. It rapidly grew over the last 2 years into a large community of almost 800 faculty, professors, designers, people that are interested in moving more play into higher education. And we invite you to join, and we'll give you the information on that at the end. But to give you just some context about the Professors at Play, we wanted to talk about three kind of different kind of lenses that we use to talk about that. So Lisa, why don't you start and talk about some of your awesome research?
All right. So let's see. I did some research of my own teaching. I was figuring out what play can even look like in a classroom. How can I be playful? You know, how do I bring that in? And more importantly, do the students like that? Is it a good experience for them? Or is it kind of frivolous? That's not really a meaningful thing. So I designed this study looking at my students' experiences of play and learning. And this is an image from the data that started to emerge. So I'll just kind of go through, this is the process they were describing basically. So they said when there's playfulness and play in the classroom environment, it creates a level of excitement and laughter and fun and novelty. And when that happens, it seems like two things are happening simultaneously. One is it creates this sense of relational safety in the room, where they said it's just such a warm environment. And I felt like I really belonged in the learning community, and I felt a higher level of trust than I do in other classes. I felt like I could be myself. And then also it would remove barriers. And so students said, yeah, when we had play, it just reduced my anxiety and stress and fear about learning, and helped balance out the seriousness. I teach mental health counseling, so it's a very serious topic. And so they said, because it's so serious, it helped to balance that out. And they said, I just really entered the learning in a more centered place. So then when those things happen, they said it increased their level of motivation to be in the class and to learn. They said they were excited to learn, more drawn to the challenge. The material was more intriguing. They were more focused about the learning rather than the grade. They just enjoyed class time. And so when that happened, then they were more willing to be vulnerably engaged. And so they said, I felt like I could take more risks because it felt safe. And I was more open to hearing the critical feedback about my skills. I felt like I put in more effort in this class. The students' words, they said it engaged us multiple learning styles, which I know there's some criticism of that lately, but basically they just said it reached us in different ways. And then all that led to enhanced learning. And the way they described that was, it was more memorable, it was more personal, and meaningful. And one person said, I haven't learned more in all my years of learning from 5 years old to 35 years old. So that's kind of how they describe that. So play, I think sometimes is taken out of teaching because we think it's, childish or frivolous or a waste of time. But I hope that this kind of shows, even when we bring play into the learning environment that's not necessarily tied directly to the content, it all has a place and it all has a part in this powerful learning process.
Something else that I love about this model, besides the fact that it's empirical and research-based, is that it shows that play is a lot more complex in the classroom than just like, hey, let's play a game and get students more engaged. It seems that that's gives play a very short shrift. So in the complexity of all this, we tried to make it simple in terms of how we might actually talk about it. So Lisa came up with this really lovely pyramid of play. And real quick, we think about the entry points for play in the classroom is really starting at the bottom, which is the playful professor. It's about embodying playfulness yourself. You can imagine that if you're stressed and depressed and dour, and then you tell the students to play, they're just not going to do it. So a lot of professors have lots of techniques that they use to just become a more playful presence in their classroom. And we're going to show you some of those. The next is what traditionally are called icebreakers, but we have changed that name to connection formers because we have found that non-content based play in the classroom actually gets students connected to each other. And that connection is a part of that process that Lisa just showed you. In fact, it's an essential part of that process. Then finally, we get to the play to teach content, the thing that everybody wants to get to, right? The part where you actually get to run a game that has relevance to the actual content. And so we'll show you some of that. And then finally, what we consider kind of to be the ultimate penultimate is where you are able to design a course that's really playful throughout. We can't do all of that in this short amount of time, but we want to show you that pyramid because it kind of helps you understand a little bit of where we're going. And even better, we're making this book. This should be out this fall sometime, this summer before the fall. We solicited our community. The community contributed a bunch of techniques. We've assembled those techniques into a book called the Professors at Play Playbook. That will be out. It will be freely available, hopefully late spring, early summer. And some of the techniques we're going to show you today are in the book. But anyway, that is what we want to talk about. Now, what do we want to do, Lisa?
Oh, prizes. There are prizes. We want everyone to be involved. Some will be games, some will be competitions. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this with my background, but we have pins, Professors at Play pins. We have Professors at Play stickers. So these are things we will literally mail to you if you're a winner. So another incentive to get involved.
There you go. Okay. So let's get started with our first activity. I guess so. Yeah. The first activity. Well, the first activity has been going on, which is just trying to be a little more playful, a little lighter in the classroom. Some professors play music. Some will wear costumes, themed Zoom backgrounds and Zoom costumes. Some will just do, kinds of fun things. Like we saw a great one where the professor would do a kind of a stump the professor game show where the students would ask the professor questions and try to stump her. So we're not going to make you do any of that. We just wanted to say that we really think it all starts with having a playful mindset. But what we want to do is get you involved. So preferably with your camera on. Lisa, would you like to explain wacky questions? And I will open this up.
Yeah. So Wacky Questions is a game that I designed for my classes, and it is not connected to content. And the whole point is just to get students engaged and wacky and laughing and having fun. You can do this in person. When I do it in person, I write these wacky questions on the back of note cards and put them down on a desk. And then I give students children's slappy hands, those really long strings with the hand and they're sticky. You can slap one of the cards with those hands, and I give each of the students one of those and they read the card and answer them. But this is how I've adapted it for an online setting. So this is a little spinner. It's wheelofnames.com. You can just, put in what you want on the spinner, but it's a fun interactive digital tool. So we're going to play. I've got a bunch of really weird questions. If somebody would like to volunteer, type your name in the chat and then we
Or
will
just
give it a
raise
spin.
your hand. We can use that Zoom thing. Raise your hand. Or type your name in. Beth.
All right. Can you spin it?
I'm going to have to spin it for you, right? I am now
Yeah.
Beth's proxy. Beth,
All
you
right.
have spun.
Are you ready, Beth?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So it's going to land on I'm going to tell you the question or statement you have to respond to. So sink. Name all the things you've done in a sink.
Hand washing, baby washing, food washing, fill up water. Oh man, this is kind of tough. Make ice. Fill up your ice trays there. Let's see. Now this is getting serious. There's a lot of pressure here.
I'm sure there's some things you might not be wanting to admit you've done in a sink, like late night things, shenanigans.
Oh, I've definitely not done that. I know what you're talking about, but I can't even say that I've done that. My husband, maybe. We won't call him out too much, though. That. I have washed my dog in the sink and cleaned it after.
All right.
Dog. All right. You just go? Is it just like a word vomit until you're done?
Yeah, you did great. That was perfect.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Beth. Who else would like to go? Now they're like, I'm not so sure.
Oh, two. Here. Who do you want to call on? You call on.
I see Lori. I don't know. I don't see another hand.
Okay. I'm now Lori's proxy. Ready, Lori? You're spinning.
Okay, here we go. Okay. Carrots. Are you ready, Lori? Create a rant about how carrots make no sense. You're on mute.
A rant about carrots. Okay. Carrots don't make any sense because they tell you that you don't need glasses if you eat them, but that's not true.
I love it. Thank you. All right, who's up?
So we're only going to take like one or two more. So here's your chance.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's your threat. If you don't volunteer, I'm going to do it.
David's really weird. You might not want to hear his answers.
All right, come on. Here we go. Somebody, anybody? Kate, you want to do this, right? Yeah, Kate, you want to do it. Okay, Kate, now I am now Kate's proxy. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see the hand raises for some reason. Okay.
Oh. Man.
Oh. Uh-oh. I don't have that one on here. We're going to have to go with squirrels. Executive decision. Okay, Kate, if you could send subliminal messages to all the squirrels at the same time, what would the message be and describe the scene of the aftermath?
So this is really, really specific. But my grandmother shoots squirrels on her back deck to keep them from eating the bird seed. So I think that like the subliminal message I would send is stay away from this one house, which I think would then just have like this very strange force field of like squirrels sitting around the perimeter of her house, like staring at it, wondering, why can't I go to this place? So it's wildly specific,
Oh, yeah.
but that would be it.
I love that. A ring of squirrels around her house. Awesome.
Great. So does anybody else want to get in here? Because if not, I'm just curious, Lisa, you've used this in classroom and in online. What's the response? What did students tell you about this kind of an activity after the fact, during the class, through the class period?
I think initially they're a little apprehensive. Like, I think in a sense, educators have trained students to sit and listen and take notes and not engage. And so I think when you do something that's the opposite, sometimes they're a little like, I'd rather just sit and not get up in front of my peers. But then when they do, they're like, this is way more fun than I thought it would be. And then they feel like the stories that people tell when you go through these questions are things you learn about students that you'd never learn about them with typical classroom assignments or icebreakers. So I think it's like a unique, novel way of getting people to know each other and connected. So my students all really like it.
That's great. And if you remember that in the model, there's something about just getting students to play together ignites a lot of wonderful things. Okay, we got to show you another technique. This one is even less content relevant than the first. Who's ever played this game, Flappy Bird? Well, we're going to play Flappy Bird, okay? Now, this is for a prize, so this is for the real stuff. The rules of this game are very simple. If you want it, you can play without winning a prize. If you want to have a chance at a prize, you have to have your camera on, you have to have your microphone on. You're going to go to this URL down here, flappybird.io. Let's go to flappybird.io. You don't have to share your screen. You just go to flappybird.io, and when we say go, you're going to play this game. This is the hardest, most frustrating, annoying game in the world. And I'm going to play along too. So I'm going to stop screen share. Okay. We're going to go to this gallery view. Okay. So if you got your camera on, you're welcome to play. But then when I say go, you start flapping. Okay. So let me see here. Actually, Lisa, why don't you say go so I can play too?
Ready, set, go.
Okay.
The point is to get this little bird through these tiny openings in the pipe, which is very difficult to do.
And let's see here. I guess just to, yep, okay. And by the way, if you get a score over 1, holler it out. I want to hear what you're doing. Look at that. 1, 2,
2.
3. I got to 3. By the way, you don't have to beat me. It's just whoever gets the highest score. It's not me. Oh, 4, 5. Why am I talking?
Mm.
How are we doing? Anybody get over 1?
I got to 4.
4?
Nice.
Who said that? Okay, I gotta beat 4. See, I have an old score. It's saved on here of 7. I'll never ever get there again.
I had a student get over 20 one time.
No.
How?
Yeah.
That's impossible.
Well, they said, oh, this used to be my game. I used to play this all the time.
What is it? Yeah.
Ooh,
Thanks for
6.
the
Jeffrey Jones got 6.
6. Okay. Anybody gonna beat 6? I'm giving it one more try. Okay. I can't
So
do it
hard.
anymore. Who got 6?
Jeffrey Jones is our winner.
Did he follow all the rules?
I'm
Do I like me
pretty
to share
sure.
my screen to prove it?
No, I don't. You can if you want. Yeah, we want proof. No Flappy Bird cheaters here. I'm not maybe you can't share a screen. We're just gonna believe you.
I probably can, but well, yeah, it's disabled for me.
Okay, well, you're off the hook. What who got above 6? Someone said they got 4. No, 4?
I can't remember who that was. Oh,
Oh, Trudy.
Kate got
Trudy
4.
got 4?
Kate
Kate got 4. Okay.
and Trudy. Okay, I say that those 3 won. So if you look in the chat, I posted a link to a prize form. So if you'd like us to mail you a prize, go ahead and fill that out.
Yes, just go to the I'm a winner form and you're a winner. So
Okay,
Oh.
so I probably wasn't paying attention, but I can't seem to get, how do you actually get the Flappy Bird to do anything? When I started, it just dives down into the ground and crashes.
you just hit your space bar and makes them flap.
Over and
Ah,
over.
okay, got it.
So this might seem silly and useless and out of place, but I use this as like an initial welcome to class icebreaker, and I used it in my digital teaching. And students love it because they say, you know, I worked all day and I was so stressed out coming to class and I didn't really even want to come to class. But then we started with this silly game where we could all just take a minute and play and relax and laugh together. And I felt more connected and ready to learn. So this might seem like, what's the point of this? But it all really has a point in the community and connection that we can build.
Last night, I was a guest speaker in a PhD research seminar, and believe it or not, I was asked to come help researchers find out ways to become more playful. And we talked about a lot of stuff, theory and techniques and everything, but we did play Flappy Bird in this seminar. And at the end of it, one of the students commented, "Yeah, my favorite part was playing Flappy Bird." There's something incredibly liberating about asking your students to play. And the reason we talk about these different contexts, research seminar, counseling class, architecture class, is because the wonderful thing is some of the most powerful techniques they're discipline neutral. They're just play. It's about getting your students to play. And when you think, I don't have the time for all this play in my class, in fact, it's the opposite. The benefits of having the students engaged and connected with each other and vulnerable and interested in learning accelerates everything. And again, we're not just saying this from a snake oil missionary save the world perspective. Well, no, we kind of are, because we've actually been studying this and testing this, and it actually shows positive outcomes in student work. So taking the time to play in your classes is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. And Nancy has a quick question in the chat. Nancy said, do you tell students how to do it, to hit the space bar, or just let them figure it out? They might get frustrated. I give them the instructions of how to start it, how to keep the bird up, and what the objective is. But I also offer, it's optional. Like if somebody would rather check email or, grab some water, that's fine too. They don't have to do the play.
Yeah, an important thing in play is that play is not compulsory. There's no such thing as compulsory play. So it becomes difficult when students don't want to play. But I think in our experience, that the students on the side will start to want to play when they start to see the other students playing. I think you just have to stick with it. This seminar last night I was teaching, suddenly the professor whose class it was jumped up and says, "I have costumes in my class." I was like, or my office, and she ran back with costumes. And even this one gentleman who was the most serious fellow in the class, who didn't seem to be enjoying it, within about 15 minutes had on a rainbow wig and was sending selfies to his family. So it's in people. You just have to let them find their way in.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about professors, playful professors. We talked about connection formers. Now I want to talk about like a content technique. So quick background, and then we're going to send you into some breakout rooms to do some labor. I'm a professor of architecture, and one of the things that's really difficult with architecture students is essentially getting them to break out of the box. They're afraid of making mistakes in their designs, which is crazy because I was teaching a class called The Architecture of Fun, asking them to design fun things. And they were really struggling to apply the principles of fun architecture to their own designs. So finally, I realized what the solution was. The solution was, I need to get them out of architecture for a minute and to apply their design techniques to something different. So we're going to do this activity. And so in a minute here, we're going to send you into breakout rooms for about 5 minutes. You get about 5 minutes to do this, and we'll do about 4 or 5 people a breakout room. But this is the challenge. This is what you need to do. Pretend I am a local business owner. I run a mom and pop hamburger joint, hamburgers and fries, and business just hasn't been that great lately. And I need some consultants to come in and tell me how to make my hamburgers more fun, just more exciting, more interesting than everybody else's in town. So that's your assignment. You got 5 minutes to just cook up some really good ideas for how to make my hamburgers more fun. Okay. So let's see here. Hopefully we have breakout room capabilities. And I'm going to go ahead and make like, how many people we got? We'll make 5 rooms. Okay. We're going to do like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, get into your room. We want to hear some great ideas for how to make the hamburger more fun. There are prizes. Ready? Here we go. And if you're still in the main room here, if you stepped away and you need a quick orientation to what we're doing, just jump on the mic and let us know. We'll either catch up or we'll send you to a room, whatever you need. Or we'll play Flappy Bird with you. So if my calculations are correct, we should have about 2 more minutes.
Yeah, I don't know when we started it.
I'm timing it. Oh, see here, 11:26. She's on it. All right. Give a quick minute here for the rooms to empty out. All right. Room 4 and 5, I had 3. They're working hard. Did you guys just solve the problem really quickly, or did you just like, I can't hamburgers, I don't know.
Yeah, Tom and I have it. We're gonna start a franchise.
Okay.
Nice.
Somewhere in Indiana that's like halfway between where we live.
Uh,
It's gonna be a
All
long
right.
commute.
Here everyone comes. All right. So what room wants to do the pitch? We probably don't have time for all the rooms, I'm going to tell you, but let's get at least a couple of competitive pitches here. Lisa, you're going to have to help me judge.
Okay. I feel like Brenda's team should start since they just said they're going to open a franchise.
Okay. Let's hear it,
Well-
Brenda. How do you make the hamburger more fun?
For starters, I just gotta say, Tom and I were the only 2 in our room, and he had this great idea of putting a spinner on the bun. So that you'll spin the top bun, and then we added on to that we're going to brand the bun. Where the spinner will have a flag pointing in one direction like a game spinner, and we're gonna brand the bun with different things. We didn't quite knock out the details of like eat a fry with no ketchup, or maybe dip your fry in this hot sauce or whatever. And then so you spin your bun and it lands on one of the games, and then you do whatever's on the bun, game prize.
Okay. Game buns. I love it.
Nice. I think Len's hand is up.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, nobody wants to mess with your food, so let's deal with the wrappers.
Okay.
Open a wrapper up. Every one wrapper's got a different little puzzle or problem or thing to solve. Solve it, turn it in, get a free set of fries. Yes, next trip.
Okay. Okay. I like it. I like it. Who else? Who else has got an idea? So I got to vote between spinner bun and prize wrapper.
Oh, we got
Oh,
one
here
more.
we go. Yep.
Aubrey.
We had a bunch of ideas. We were thinking rainbow colored buns for inclusivity, and the big question, pineapple, does it belong on a hamburger or not? Very divisive topic for pizza, so we were thinking that'd be a good one. We were thinking, fun burgers of the day, like Bob's Burgers. Don't know if you've seen the show, but he always has like this little dad joke name for the burger.
Yeah.
And then like it's made that way. What else did we have? We came up with a bunch. We had fun.
Love that.
I gotta say, I like the idea of divisive burgers. It's just like burgers that split opinion,
Yeah. All right. Well, David, I think this is your activity, so you need to decide who won.
I don't know. I love the spinner bun idea. I think that I could rebrand my whole franchise spinner buns. They're all great ideas. I'd use all the ideas in the but spinner buns. Spinner buns is the winner.
So Brenda, and who was your other partner? Okay. So
You're
I put
winning.
the prize link in the chat if you're interested in getting a mail prize.
So to flip this back into why this was relevant content and not just fun, it turned out that my architecture students just blew it up. They were able to apply the theory and the design principles to the Hamburger that they were not safe enough to apply to actual buildings. And once they had kind of crossed over and realized that they had that design capability and that they didn't have to feel shame about it, they were able to actually improve their architectural designs. Now, in this case, I realize you're not architecture students, but I don't think they were too far from the same thing. If I would have sent you into a room and asked you to, design a structure for micro-credentials, I'm sure you'd do it because you're all professionals, you know how to do this work, but I'm not sure it would have been done with so much verve and creativity. And so in your classrooms, there's really a value in, I don't know how you'd say it better than say, diffuse some of your assignments and make them more playful. And like Lisa, you have a great example from your counseling class, the giraffe example.
Oh yeah, I do this in counseling. We do a lot of role plays and a lot of case studies to understand how to conceptualize clients and, apply theory to treat them. And it gets pretty boring. And I think students just have a hard time with that. So instead of having a typical client, I make the client a giraffe. And I don't know if anyone has young kids, if they've read the book, Giraffes Can't Dance. It's a book about Gerald the giraffe, and he's different and everybody makes fun of him. And so he has low self-esteem and, kind of depressed. And so I read this book to my graduate students, and then I create a client profile based off of real facts about giraffes and turn it into why this giraffe might be seeking counseling. And then from there, they have to conceptualize this case and apply their theory and how would you treat this client? And it just takes off the pressure of the seriousness of a client case where they feel like they have to get it right or say the right thing or have the right approach, because nobody's ever counseled a giraffe before. So there's no right way. So students really like that, and it's valuable in terms of learning, but it's also allows them to think more freely than they would if it was a typical case study.
So whether it's hamburgers or giraffes, and it's really, again, about making something fun and playful, because then the students can engage with the principles in a way that allows them to scaffold up to more serious and more applied things. Mm-hmm. All right. We got one more activity for you. And this one's hybrid, I think. This activity spans both. It's a way to get people engaged in problem solving, but it's also a great technique for us as professionals to kind of work through some of our own hangups. So take it away.
All right. So when David and I first met, I was trying to figure out how to bring play into teaching. And he's all about fun, but he didn't really know how to bring play into teaching necessarily. And so we were like figuring it out together. And I said, I'm having a really hard time thinking playfully that doesn't automatically suck me back into the status quo and the box of what we typically do in education. And so he's like, well, just think of the worst idea ever and do that. And it was kind of like a joke, but it was actually really helpful, because I started to have these creative sessions where I think of the absolute worst idea ever that could get me fired and be very inappropriate in teaching. And that sounds weird, but it's the way that I can get my mind so far outside of the box, so far outside of the status quo, that I'm no longer confined by it. And so I can think wildly and creatively and playfully, and it's fun. And then after that, the second step is to kind of reel it back in to make it something that's more useful for teaching, that wouldn't get me fired, that wouldn't be inappropriate. And so David, if you want to click here. So if you go ahead again, if you think of like, this might be my bias here, but I think higher education is very problematic for a lot of reasons. And one of them is because we are so stuck often inside this box of like, well, we've always done it that way, or, just habit or the status quo. And it's really hard to get outside of that. And so go ahead, David. Why don't you just click all these images? So I see playful pedagogy as a part of higher education. It can be included, but it's different than the box. And so what I want to do is try to get ideas within that playful pedagogy. But when I think like that, I get pulled back into the box of thinking the way we've always done it. So the worst idea ever, you can see on the bottom right, is so far outside of the box that you're no longer confined by it, but definitely these are bad ideas. So some examples, the example I just shared about Gerald the giraffe, one of the worst ideas ever that I came up with was like, well, what if I treated my students like kindergartners and I had them sit on the carpet, crisscross applesauce, and read them children's books all day? That's not very useful. It would be kind of funny, but from that, when I scaled it back, okay, what if I used a children's book in my teaching? But what if it wasn't like treating them like kindergartners? Maybe it was using it for a case study. And so I read that book to my own kids at home and I was like, ooh, this is good to apply theory. So then I designed that activity, which is useful, but it's still kind of outside that typical box. Another idea I had that was the worst idea ever was those children's slappy hands that I talked about earlier. I was like, what if I gave one of those to all of the students and we just had a slapping frenzy where we ran around the room and just slapped each other with them? That's not good for a lot of reasons. But I was like, what could I use those? And that's how I designed that wacky questions game in person when they slap the note card with the sticky hand. So it's just like my way of kind of thinking very far outside the box where I'm able to be free in my thinking and playfulness, and then figure out the second step is the important step of reeling back those really bad ideas into something that's more useful. So can I just get a sense, if you can type in the chat what position you're in, if it's faculty or instructional designer or something else, just so we can have a sense of that. We should have probably asked that at the start.
Because what we want to do is, I mean, it'd be great if we had time and we could do breakout rooms, but we're going to throw a scenario out to you here and kind of just, we'll spitball it together, our worst ideas ever about how we might improve this situation.
Okay, yeah, so it looks like kind of a mix, which we figured. So yeah, we'll have you think through this, one of your own worst idea ever based on a scenario we give you. But I hope that this is helpful in terms of how do we get our minds to think differently? My opinion, I think academia kills creativity and kind of sucks us into the norm or, you know, doing things the way we've always done it. And so to be creative, your brain is like a muscle. I think you have to use your creative brain to get it more in tune. So that's kind of what this is all about. So David, do you want to give them the?
Yeah, you bet. And I like Len's background, got really powerful. So since this is an online conference and we said this is having fun online, we're going to go straight for the jugular, the online discussion forum, you know, wow, like we all have them, we all use them, and we're trying to make them better. So how do we make the text online discussion forum, whether it's your Blackboard, your Canvas, your, you know, Desire to Learn, whatever you're using, how do we make this better? What's the worst idea for improving online discussions that you can think of? You can come on the microphone, you can type it in the chat.
Make them bad.
I remember, your idea, if you were to implement it, would probably get you fired. We won't go to arrested, but we'll just do fired. So,
or just won't work logistically. It just is not gonna.
Well, there's that too. I like fired though. I think that like you got to really take
That's
post
really
embarrassing photos. There you go. Yeah.
Make it worth a lot of points, like 5 million points.
Compromising photos. Yeah. Okay. That will get you fired for sure.
Yeah. What other bad ideas?
Drinking game. Oh yeah, there you go. Every time a student posts, that's a good answer, you drink. Yeah, okay. Inappropriate backgrounds. Yeah, I like it. How about you know, you get points for swear words. Like so you can only post in memes. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning. Oh, that was a direct message to us. Tell the students they're wrong every time they post something. Okay. So let's just pick that one because it's the last one. Okay, that's a terrible idea, right? It's a terrible idea to tell the students they're wrong every time they post something, but there's a nugget in there. What's the nugget? What is the nugget in there that could make these assignments better? Or pick a different one, the drinking background, the drinking game. Pick one of these ideas and just reel it back just enough that you're like, okay, I wouldn't get fired. Maybe it would work.
I have an idea for Nancy's. Tell students they're wrong every time they posted something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it quite fits, but I teach counseling children and adolescents. And so one of the classes, how I started class was, okay, in groups, I want you to tell me the best way to counsel children, wrong answers only. And then they were like, steal their snacks, kick down their block towers, like really funny things. So I wonder if like the opposite of that, tell them they're wrong every time, is like post discussions about wrong answers only. Maybe that would get students involved.
Beth's got a great answer there. It's just, today we're playing confrontational teacher, and it makes them argue back. Len, you get your hand up. I got a mic.
Oh,
You got to jump on the microphone. Oh, he's just flying now.
Yeah.
Okay, Len's just flying.
Beth has an idea in the chat, David.
Yeah, instead of doing an inappropriate background, just use one in a creative way and fly into class.
There you go. You're flying backwards though, Len. Look where you're going.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I think, Beth and Trudy are on this good idea, which is like, you put on the persona of the confrontational professor. Today we're playing confrontational professor, and they post, and they know that in your character of the confrontational professor, you're going to tell them that they're wrong and they have to respond. And that could be fun, right? Now, is it going to work? I don't know. But that's way better than good job, interesting point, thanks for your feedback. Have you considered, we've all got our litany of discussion prompts. I would love to do this. This sounds fun to me as a professor, maybe fun for the students.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a quick preview of that, but you can just see even in a few minutes how you can start to generate ideas that really just seem well outside of what we're our normal problem solving scheme.
Mm-hmm.
But to wrap up in 2 minutes, because every good presentation wraps up in 90 seconds, right? We just kind of have some questions for you. And really, at the end of the day, the questions are, what are you afraid of? What's holding you back? Professors at Play exist to tell you you are not alone, and people are doing things crazier and weirder than you are. So there's a community out there. What will you do? It's like making that commitment to be like, yeah, I'm going to try one of these things out. I'm going to try Flappy Bird. Just let's see. I can blame these people over here. We're always interested to hear from you. What have you done? We're constantly learning. Join the Professors at Play listserv. You can find it at professorsatplay.org. It's an open community. Come join us. Share your knowledge. Share your good ideas. Share your links. And then just be kind of mindful. How can a playful approach to teaching and learning help you? We have asserted through our experience and research that it will, but you need to think about it. It needs to matter something to you too.
And one thing I'll say is somebody typed this earlier in the chat of like, it's really hard to be less serious as a professional, if that's a faculty member or whatever role you're in. And that's absolutely right, because I think our culture has this bias against play in adulthood, where the message is play is childish, it's trivial, it's waste of time, and play is not professional. And so that does not exist within this realm. And I think play is professional. There's obviously limits and boundaries to that, but students appreciate it. It makes my job way more fun. I like what I do more because I can be creative and playful and innovative in my own way. But I'm going to post in the chat. I wrote a blog on our website about this, about all the things that might hinder us from being more playful in our work. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So if you're interested, check that out. But I do think that, and playful doesn't look the same for all of us. Play is not always silly, wacky, wild, and goofy. Play can be playing with ideas, being flexible, being creative. So I think don't shy away from it if you're like, ooh, I'm not a playful person. You are in your own way, and you can find what that looks like for you in your work. But I just think, students are going to appreciate it. if you're an instructional designer and faculty come to you and you have these like playful, fresh ideas, they're going to appreciate that and get something more out of that than they typically would, I would think. So I think if you're on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being totally serious, stuffy, and 10 being very, very playful, everybody's going to be on a different point. But if you're at a 3, how can you move to a 4 or a 5? If you're at a 2, how can you move to a 3? So it's not huge movements, but just little things you can do to make your work more playful.
And with that, thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of the day, and please stay in touch.
Thank you, David and Lisa, for a fantastic presentation. I have dropped a link in the chat for everybody to keep the conversation going on Discord. There's also a session evaluation over there. It's been a lot of fun today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.